You're tuned into the most surprising frequency of the day, a morning that began like any other but quickly transformed into something we could never have imagined. Here, from my vantage point, everyday life seemed like an unshakable routine. The sun rose over the horizon, dyeing the city its usual gold, while the streets began to bustle with the rush of everyday life. The distant sound of cars, the hum of people heading to work, everything seemed familiar until it wasn't. Now, I'm here, at the epicenter of a devastating and unexpected transformation. In a matter of moments, the ordinary world we knew has been shaken. It's as if an invisible wave has swept through the city, leaving behind a deafening void. The streets, which just moments ago throbbed with daily life, are now marked by a deafening silence. Cars stranded in the middle of the highway, storefronts open but empty, as if their occupants had simply evaporated. People gather in small groups, expressions of confusion and fear etched on their faces, trying to comprehend what just happened. Many are looking to the sky, as if searching for answers among the solemnly passing clouds, silent witnesses to this monumental event. Here on the sidewalk, cell phones ring non-stop, their owners unreachable, their fates a mystery no one can unravel. As I walk the streets, I feel the tension, almost palpable, in the air. It's as if time itself has stopped, leaving us trapped in a moment between what was and what will be. The faces I encounter are a mix of anxiety and disbelief. Old friends meet without words, only the silent comfort of a tight embrace. There's a sense of loss, of something vast and incomprehensible that has slipped through our fingers. The voices around me are low, hesitant, as if speaking aloud might shatter the fragile balance of what remains. Some people kneel in silent prayer, while others walk aimlessly, trying to make sense of this strange new world. What was once a scene of normalcy has now become a stage of uncertainty. As the day progresses, the reality of what we're facing begins to sink in, but questions remain. What was this event? Why were some chosen and others left? Is this Rapture Day? The answers are still elusive, but the search for understanding has already begun. Stay with us as we continue reporting directly from the front lines of this extraordinary day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here, directly at the epicenter of an event that is beyond human comprehension. The streets, normally pulsating with daily life, are now filled with a silence that screams of despair and confusion. I find myself looking at the faces of those left behind, a multitude of lost gazes and anguished hearts. Our protagonist is not a single individual, but rather a mosaic of people, each carrying their own dilemma. Imagine a businessman, his briefcase fallen to the floor, papers scattered like leaves in the wind, his gaze fixed on the sky, trying to understand how, in the blink of an eye, his carefully laid plans were turned to dust. Beside him, a young mother holds her son's hand tightly, silent tears streaming down her face. She whispers prayers, seeking solace amidst the chaos. In a nearby park, a group of young people face what was once just a distant theory, the rapture, now a crushing reality. They look at each other, trying to process what happened to friends and family who, minutes before, were by their side. Their laughter and music have been replaced by an oppressive silence and a sense of irreparable loss. This is the dilemma unfolding before me. A dilemma that transcends logic and reason. The people around me question their choices, their beliefs, and what this new world will mean without those who disappeared. It is a moment that challenges the very essence of humanity, forcing each of us to confront our faith, or lack thereof, and what it means for the future. The scene is surreal, as if reality has been ripped from its foundations and thrown into an abyss of uncertainty. Here, on the ground, amid the wreckage of normalcy, the men and women left behind seek answers, seek redemption, seek hope amid the shadows of an event that altered the course of their lives forever. As the sun sets on this historic day, the dilemma continues to hammer at the hearts of those left behind, echoing through empty streets and dazed minds. I am a frontline reporter, witnessing this brutal transformation, where every face tells a story of loss and a search for meaning. This is the scene of a world that, from one moment to the next, has been rewritten. We are here, amid an atmosphere charged with uncertainty and expectation, as the entire world tries to comprehend what is happening. Today is the day of the Rapture, an event many have been anticipating, while others are caught off guard. Amidst all of this, the central theme that stands out is faith, this fundamental pillar that is now being tested like never before. Faith and obedience intertwine in this setting, like two golden threads weaving the tapestry of human experience. Around me, I see those who remained, their faces a mixture of shock and deep reflection. Questions echo in their minds. Was I faithful? Was I obedient enough? This introspection becomes palpable in the air, as individual stories of faith, or lack thereof, unfold before our eyes. What we see here is a powerful message about faith as an anchor in times of uncertainty. Many, who previously spent their lives without pondering spiritual matters, now find themselves confronted with the urgency of a reality that can no longer be ignored. The rapture, for them, is a wake-up call, a revelation that lays their souls bare. For others, it is confirmation of their beliefs, proof that their lives of devotion and obedience were not in vain. On this spiritual frontline, we witness stories of people who, day after day, cultivated their faith like a garden, watering it with the water of hope and expectation. They speak of nights spent in prayer, of moments of doubt overcome by conviction. For them, faith was never a mere word, but an action, a daily commitment that now shines like a beacon in the midst of the storm. Obedience, in turn, appears as the inseparable companion of faith. Here, it's not just about following rules, but about living a life that resonates with divine purpose. Obedience is the visible expression of an inner faith, and for many, this day is a revelation of how each choice, each act of faithfulness, contributed to an eternal destiny. As the emotional dust of this event begins to settle, it becomes clear that faith and obedience are not only central themes, but fundamental to the spiritual journey. This is the time to reflect on what it means to truly believe, on how walking in obedience is not an easy task, but one that can define a soul's destiny. We are faced with an urgent call to look within and reevaluate our priorities. Here, on the front lines of the rapture, the message is clear. Faith is the key, obedience is the door, and the journey through it is the essence of the human experience on this historic day. Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting directly from the eye of a supernatural hurricane. Here, at the epicenter of what many believe to be the harbinger of the rapture, the atmosphere is charged with an energy that defies human comprehension. The air, heavy and vibrant, seems to whisper with an invisible force, while the sky, a tapestry of gray, swirling clouds, dances in a spectacle of light and shadow not seen since time immemorial. The first thing to notice, something that defies all meteorological logic, is the sudden change in temperature. In a matter of minutes, the scorching heat gave way to a biting cold, sending goosebumps to the skin of anyone who dares to be outdoors. Animals, usually calm, are visibly restless, their instinctive reactions serving as a silent warning of what's to come. The trees, once motionless, now bow in reverence to the rising wind, their leaves whispering ancient secrets. A peculiar sound, somewhere between a hum and a murmur, permeates the air, growing in intensity. The birds, in an almost choreographed movement, fly in chaotic directions, as if trying to escape an invisible force. On the horizon, figures of light begin to emerge, shimmering prisms that flicker and dissipate as if the sky itself were breathing. The people around, initially skeptical, now watch in reverent silence, their gazes fixed on the celestial dance above. Whispers turn to murmurs, and soon the crowds are gripped by a wave of wonder and awe. Walking through the crowd, it's impossible to ignore the feeling that something monumental is about to happen. The smell in the air, a mix of ozone and wet earth, is unmistakable. It's as if nature itself is on standby, about to take a leap into the unknown. Suddenly, a flash of light cuts across the sky, a column of light so bright it brings tears to the eyes. People look at each other, some in panic, others in silent prayer, seeking solace in faith amidst uncertainty. This, my listeners, is the first sign, the omen many have been waiting for but few have been truly prepared to witness. For now, all we can do is wait, observe, and try to understand the plans unfolding before our eyes. We will continue to provide updates as we delve deeper into this unprecedented event. Stay with us as the mystery unfolds. Here we are, a moment of palpable tension. The scene is chaotic, the streets are nearly deserted, but an inner turmoil grips many who are still here, living this day with a mixture of doubt and hope. Our protagonist is at the center of this emotional storm, surrounded by echoes of a world that seems to have split in two. Imagine him standing still, unsure whether to advance or retreat. The surrounding silence is interrupted only by the distant blare of sirens and the murmur of hurried prayers. He stands there, at the corner of two decisions, staring up at the murky sky, as if searching for an answer among the clouds slowly moving overhead. Inside him, a heated debate rages. Was it true? Was he really left behind? His heart pounds in his chest, his mind a whirlwind of questions. He thinks about the choices he's made, the paths he's taken. Perhaps, somewhere along the line, a small voice inside him always knew this day would come, but doubt, like an old friend, whispered quietly that he still had time, that it was all just a distant legend. As the dust of fear mingles with the air he breathes, he remembers conversations with friends who have disappeared, long nights of reflection that never led to a conclusion. Now, those memories surface, each thought a grain of sand in an hourglass he wishes he could turn upside down. Hesitation is his only companion, but he is not alone. Around him, other faces express the same uncertainty, a mixture of despair and hope. In a corner, a woman holds a sign with words of faith, while a man beside her tries to connect with loved ones, his fingers trembling as he dials numbers that will no longer be answered. In moments of crisis, the silence within the protagonist screams louder. He finds himself at a crossroads between accepting what has been predicted and fighting the reality that presents itself coldly before him. Every heartbeat is like thunder in his ears, every breath brings him closer to a decision that seems unavoidable. Still, he hesitates, as if that very hesitation could change fate. Night approaches, and with it, a new layer of uncertainty. It's a scenario of internal battle, where the only possible victory is peace with himself, a comfort he still seeks, a purpose he desperately tries to grasp. And here we are, witnesses to a moment of raw humanity, where each person, in their collective solitude, searches for answers in the shadows of an event that changed the world forever. The protagonist gazes at the horizon, still undecided. The story continues, and the next page is about to be turned. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the eye of the hurricane that has become our world. The morning began like any other, but something changed drastically. A sense of unease took hold. As soon as the clock struck noon, the sky, previously blue and serene, was split by a blinding light, a flash that seemed to come from all directions at once, as if the sun had decided to multiply its presence. The city, normally noisy and bustling, froze in an instant. Disconcerted, people stopped what they were doing, their gazes fixed on the sky, trying to understand the inexplicable. The temperature suddenly dropped, and a frigid wind cut through the air. And then, the silence was broken by the sound of trumpets, an ethereal and powerful melody reverberating in the ears as if time itself had stopped to witness this moment. At that moment, panic began to spread like wildfire. Crowded streets emptied in seconds, clothes and belongings fell to the ground like dead leaves, while those who witnessed the event disappeared without a trace. Those left behind ran, their faces a mixture of fear and disbelief. What we were witnessing was a turning point, a catalytic event that forced action, a watershed moment in human history. Communications became unstable, confused and fragmented voices echoed through the ether, as radio and television stations struggled to understand and report the inexplicable. In hospitals, doctors and nurses disappeared, leaving patients and machines beeping unresponsive. In traffic, cars stopped, their doors open, causing a gridlocked chaos that stretched for miles. From the top of a building, I have a privileged view of the city, now a surreal scene of confusion and desolation. Planes hover in the sky, as if time had suspended its laws, while people, small figures below, rush back and forth with no clear destination. Everyone wonders, what happened? And more importantly, why did some stay and others leave? This is the new world, a landscape of uncertainty and fear, where every move seems charged with urgency. Questions keep arising, and answers, if any, are still out of reach. Stay alert, for this is just the beginning of a new reality. We are all on the brink of the unknown. Here we are, in a scene of turmoil and uncertainty, where the heavens seem to have opened with a brightness that defies human comprehension. People around me are stunned, some in tears, others simply motionless, trying to process what has just happened. The Rapture, a long prophesied event, has taken many by surprise, and now those left behind face a new reality. Amidst this chaos, there are reports of many who, even overcome by fear, are accepting the call that now lies before them. I am here with a group of people who have gathered in a small church, its doors open like a beacon of hope. The pastor, his voice trembling but firm, invites everyone in, offering words of encouragement and comfort. The faces of those present reflect a mixture of terror and determination. It's impossible to ignore the fear permeating the atmosphere, but at the same time, there's an invisible force uniting these people. They're accepting a call, an invitation to something greater, even as their hearts race with uncertainty about what comes next. A young woman stands out in the crowd, her hands trembling as she holds a small prayer book. She whispers words of faith, her tears tracing silent paths down her face. "I don't know what will happen," she murmurs, "but I know I'm not alone." Around her, others echo the words, creating a chorus of voices that rises like a tide of beliefs. Accepting this call, even in the face of fear, is a testament to human resilience. Amidst turmoil and loss, these people are finding strength in their faith, refusing to give in to despair. They cling to a hope that transcends fear, a hope of redemption and a new beginning. The scene is powerful, almost cinematic. It's a reminder that even in the darkest hours, there is a light to be found. Accepting the call, despite fear, is an act of courage that echoes through time. As we continue to witness this unforgettable day, it's clear that the human spirit, with its ability to face the unknown, remains unbreakable. This is a moment of decision, and for those who remain, the journey is just beginning. I am here, amidst a scene many never imagined they would witness. In a city that sprawls as far as the eye can see, chaos and hope mingle in a whirlwind of emotions. The Rapture, a long foretold event, has arrived with the force of a hurricane, sweeping away those who were prepared and leaving behind a world in shock and confusion. The streets are now filled with people who suddenly find themselves facing an uncertain future. This is the scene we will witness as many begin their preparations for the journey they must now undertake. Around me, the sound of suitcases being dragged and doors slamming echoes through the streets. Families gather around kitchen tables, their voices low as they discuss their next steps. It's time to decide what to take, what to leave behind, what is truly essential in a reality that has just changed. Some look up at the sky, where the clouds seem to move more quickly, as if time itself has accelerated. The first step, say those still calm, is acceptance. Accept that the rapture has happened and that action is now needed. In a nearby park, I see people kneeling, their heads bowed in prayer, seeking guidance and strength to face the unknown. Further ahead, a group is organizing, discussing plans to create a community that can offer support and safety. Many begin searching for answers, scouring ancient scriptures and texts, trying to understand what is expected of them from this point forward. Technology, ironically, becomes a crucial ally. Telephones and radios transmit information incessantly, with broadcasts like ours keeping hope alive, connecting those who remain. It is a time of quick but thoughtful decisions, where each choice can mean the difference between safety and vulnerability. The sun begins to set, dyeing the sky a deep red. Shadows lengthen as night descends upon the city. This is only the first day, the first step on a journey no one chose, but which all must now embark on. The rapture has become reality, and preparing for what is to come is more crucial than ever. Here on the front lines, we will continue reporting as history unfolds before our eyes. Here, on the edge of the unknown, the air vibrates with a palpable tension, as if time itself has paused to observe. The streets, once familiar, now echo with an unsettling silence. People who once filled every corner, every shop, have vanished, leaving only a haunting void. The world we once knew now seems a distorted reflection of its former normalcy. As we cross this first threshold, the reality around us shifts almost imperceptibly. Signs of cataclysmic change are everywhere, but it's in the small details that the strangeness reveals itself. The trees, swaying in the wind, seem to whisper ancient secrets, while the skies, now a deep, unbroken blue, observe everything with a celestial indifference. For those left behind, this is uncharted territory, where each day brings a new myriad of challenges and uncertainties. It feels like we're in limbo, where the past cannot be redeemed and the future remains unclear, a mosaic of uncertain possibilities. The houses, still full of memories, echo with the absence of those who were taken, their voices now only fleeting memories. As we journey deeper into this new world, we encounter others like us, perplexed and disoriented, but also determined to understand what has unfolded before us. There is a collective sense of searching, a desperate need to find purpose or a path amidst the chaos. Glances are exchanged, alliances are formed, and each person carries their own story of loss and questioning. The horizon, once a symbol of hope and promise, now seems like a frontier marking the beginning of an unknown journey. What awaits us beyond this point is uncertain, but the only certainty is that nothing will ever be the same again. Each step taken is an exploration of the unknown, an attempt to adapt and survive in a world that seems to have turned upside down. As the dust of the day settles, we realize this isn't just a test of faith or resilience, but a complete redefinition of what it means to exist in a world that has suddenly lost its compass. We are now forced explorers of a new realm, trying to decipher the rules and understand the consequences of an event that forever changed the course of our lives. And so, with our hearts pounding, we face the unknown. Crossing this threshold is just the beginning of an odyssey that will challenge everything we think we know about ourselves and the world around us. This is the new reality, and it's up to us to navigate it with courage and determination, searching for answers and a new meaning for our lives. We are here, amidst chaos and confusion, as the world tries to understand what has just happened. The Rapture left many stunned, and now the first tests for those who remained arise. Amid the dust that still settles, the horizon is clouded with uncertainty. People around the world are regrouping, trying to find meaning, allies amid despair, enemies on opposing sides. In a city still echoing with the sound of sirens and murmurs of despair, groups are beginning to form. Some seek solace in faith, believing there is still time for redemption. Others, driven by fear and distrust, arm themselves to face a world suddenly unfamiliar and dangerous. The lines between allies and enemies have never been so blurred. On the streets, we see figures who were once invisible now standing out as emerging leaders. Some use words of hope to unite, saying that solidarity is our greatest strength now. Others, however, see this as an opportunity for power, dividing and conquering, and inflaming dormant conflicts. The first tests are not just of survival, but of character. Who do you choose to follow? Who do you decide to help? As the sun sets once again on the chaos, we witness an internal struggle, a reflection of the external confrontations. Alliances are formed between those who share a vision of the future, be it peace or domination. In the distance, a lone figure watches, a shepherd who has lost his flock. He walks among the wreckage, offering words of comfort to those who are lost. He knows not everyone wants ears to listen, but he continues, a small flame of hope amidst the growing darkness. On the other hand, shadowy figures move in the shadows, exploiting the chaos. They create disorder, spread fear and cynicism, attempting to weaken any remaining bonds of trust. It's an invisible but epic battle waged in the hearts and minds of those who remain. We, who observe and report, are here to document the struggle unfolding before us. It is a test of humanity, faith, and endurance. The question remains, who will remain faithful when the dust finally settles? As night falls, an unsettling silence takes over, promising new challenges at sunrise. Stay tuned, for the story is just beginning to unfold. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening straight from the heart of chaos, as the world watches the most cataclysmic events ever recorded unfold. The atmosphere here is thick, charged with an almost palpable tension, as we encounter the first major obstacle facing those left behind on Rapture Day. The streets are in disarray. Abandoned vehicles pile up on the avenues, while sirens echo in the distance, a continuous lament for lost order. The sun sets on the horizon, dyeing the sky a deep red, reflecting the terror of those who look up, searching for answers that seem unattainable. People gather in groups in the squares, their faces etched with disbelief and fear. There are screams, many screams, of children calling for parents who are no longer there, of friends trying in vain to find theirs. The world, once known, crumbles before everyone's eyes, revealing the fragility of a once unshakable routine. The first major obstacle we now face is understanding and accepting what really happened. Those left behind are forced to face a new reality, one where faith and doubt collide violently. It's a mental and emotional challenge, forcing each individual to reflect on their past beliefs and actions. The cost of this challenge is immense. Materially, cities face looting and destruction as social order crumbles. However, the emotional toll is even deeper. The pain of loss, the anguish of uncertainty, and the fear of the unknown form a perfect storm of despair. As I witness all this, I can't help but notice that, despite the devastation, there is also a glimmer of hope. Groups of people come together, offering support, trying to rebuild a sense of community amidst the chaos. It's a reminder that, even in the darkest moments, humanity still seeks connection, a reason to move forward. Here, from the epicenter of these events, I continue reporting with the hope that, as we face this first major obstacle together, we can find a path, a new direction, in a world that seems to have turned upside down. Stay tuned, for more is to come. This is your Frontline correspondent, bringing you news directly from a scene of chaos and uncertainty. Amid the turmoil of Rapture Day, here on Earth, the remnants search for any sign of hope, any spark of victory. And in a dark corner of a now nearly deserted city, we witness a glimmer of resilience. A group of survivors, united by bonds of desperation and determination, managed, against all odds, to restore a small portion of the local power grid. It's a feat that comes as a beacon of light in times of darkness. The lights flicker, but remain lit. A technological miracle in an age of desolation. People gather, some weeping with relief, others murmuring silent prayers of gratitude. However, this small victory brings with it a moment of false hope. For while the survivors rejoice, believing that normalcy may be just around the corner, the skies continue to tell a different story. Dark clouds move in unnatural patterns, lightning strikes without warning. It's a constant reminder that the battle is greater than any earthly conquest. The group, unbeknownst to them, is dancing on the stage of a cosmic theater, where forces beyond human comprehension dictate the rhythm. They haven't yet realized that the lights can be ephemeral, a distraction amidst a scenario of impending doom. But for now, they cling to this moment, like castaways to a raft in a raging sea. The air is thick with tension. Every face reflects the uncertainty of tomorrow. As the electricity flows, the sense of normalcy is merely an illusion that could shatter at any moment. The local radio, now working, plays a forgotten melody, awakening memories of simpler times. But we, here on the front lines, know this is only a glimpse of what was, not what will be. We continue to follow closely, reporting every development as the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. Stay with us as we continue to tell this monumental story. Remember, there's more to come. And we'll be here, bringing every detail, every nuance, straight to you. This is Rapture Day Radio, straight from the heart of the battle. This is the biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the field, where the scenery is both breathtaking and terrifying. Above us, the sky is thick with dark clouds, as if reflecting the growing tension on the ground. There's a buzz in the air, a palpable sense that something immense is about to happen. The people around me are on high alert, their eyes fixed on the horizon, where the enemy seems to be taking shape. Advancing rapidly, the opposing forces organize themselves with frightening precision. It's remarkable how the enemy grows stronger, its presence becoming more imposing with each passing moment. I see leaders of nations, faces etched with fatigue and determination, desperately discussing strategies, while in the distance, troops gather information. The sound of marches is like an ominous drumbeat that echoes throughout the valley. There are reports of entire cities being plunged into darkness and chaos. Communications are intermittent, only heightening the anxiety and fear among those left behind. The wind carries the smell of smoke and destruction, reminding us that danger is not just a distant possibility, but an imminent reality. The few who manage to escape share stories of terror and despair, while others, with blank stares, simply press on, driven by sheer survival. Now, more than ever, unity is necessary. But while some gather, others disperse, consumed by uncertainty and doubt. The earth trembles slightly, as if sharing the same nervousness that runs through the hearts of men. Amidst the twisted trees and shadowy hills, the shadows of the enemy seem to multiply, their numbers increasing at an alarming rate. The tension is almost tangible, a suffocating pall that descends upon everyone. On this day, the atmosphere is charged with electricity, as if nature itself were on standby. The sun, once bright and warm, now casts only a cold glow through the heavy clouds, like a watchful eye on the impending battle. Here, on the front lines, we all feel it. The approach of real danger, the strengthening of the enemy, is a brutal reminder of the fragility of our existence. As time ticks, every second becomes precious. The fight is about to begin, and we are witnessing the prelude to a confrontation that will echo through the ages. Stay alert, for every moment is now crucial. We are here, amidst confusion and chaos, facing a scenario that defies comprehension. The world, still reeling from the shock and loss of millions suddenly missing, is now desperately searching for direction. We see leaders gathering, their faces etched with the weight of the moment. They meet in a makeshift hall, hastily assembled amid the rubble of a city that was once a symbol of civilization and order. The air is thick with tension and anticipation. Voices are muffled, but the urgent tone is unmistakable. We are witnessing the development of a new plan. A plan that emerges in the face of overwhelming difficulties imposed by the event many call the Rapture. With resources scarce, communications failing, and infrastructure shattered, the need for coordinated action has never been more pressing. The first priority discussed is security. A fragile society is witnessing the emergence of opportunistic groups, and maintaining order is a monumental challenge. Security forces, now reorganized, are seen patrolling the streets. Their eyes are alert, their hands steady, but the fatigue is visible on their faces. Inside the hall, there's a central table covered with maps and reports. National leaders, now colleagues in misfortune, debate strategies. The question of basic survival is one of the most pressing. How to guarantee water, food, and shelter for those left behind. Rationing plans are discussed, while engineers and scientists, hastily summoned, seek solutions to restore essential networks. There's also a heated discussion about communication. In a world where technology has proven vulnerable, how can we convey messages of hope and coordination? The proposal is to launch a network of community radio stations, or return to our roots, where the human voice can reach even the most remote places. Solidarity emerges as a guiding thread. Leaders, no matter their diverse backgrounds, understand that international cooperation is the only way out. Mutual aid pacts are signed, providing a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. Here, in the eye of the storm, as the plan unfolds, the human spirit refuses to be defeated. The world unites, not just to survive, but to reimagine a future that seemed impossible just hours ago. And so, with renewed determination, they prepare to face whatever lies ahead. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in the most harrowing of moments, where the silence is filled with the merciless sound of time. The tension is almost palpable, like the air charged before a supernatural storm. The sun sets, dyeing the sky a scarlet red, while everyone around looks up, waiting, or fearing. The streets, normally bustling with life and routine activities, are now strangely deserted, except for those who can't take their eyes off the horizon. I hear the sound of a door creaking, a sign that someone is still here, trying to understand what's unfolding before us. The murmur of discussions about what comes next hangs in the air, while radios and televisions, once sources of entertainment and information, now broadcast only the sound of an insistent ticking, as if time itself were warning us that something grand is about to happen. People gather in small groups, their eyes fixed on the clock, their hands clasped tightly together, seeking solace in human contact. Anxiety and anticipation mingle on their faces, creating an atmosphere of suspense that echoes through the empty streets. Children cling to their parents' legs, their eyes filled with unanswered questions. The winds begin to pick up, bringing with them a sense of urgency. Leaves dance around the feet of those waiting, as if nature is aware of what is to come. With each passing minute, the sense of an inevitable outcome draws nearer. The birds, normally singing their melodies at the end of the day, now circle in agitation, as if sensing the imminent change in the order of things. Time seems to slow down, each second dragging with agonizing slowness. The tension is almost unbearable, as if we were in the prelude to an event that will change everything. And while the world holds its collective breath, we wait, suspended in time, for the unfolding of what only fate knows. The clock continues its relentless march, and we, here on the front lines, can only watch and report as the inevitable draws closer with each tick. Darkness has descended upon the earth like a palpable pall. Here, directly in the eye of the prophetic hurricane, the scene is one of unparalleled desolation. The streets, which once throbbed with daily life, now echo with an oppressive silence. The windows are empty, the doors wide open. It's as if the world itself is holding its breath, waiting for what comes next. The air is charged with an almost electric tension, as if the atmosphere itself were about to crack. The once blue and serene skies have become a massive ceiling of thick, restless clouds. Lightning streaks the horizon, briefly illuminating the chaos below, where abandoned cars block roads and traffic lights blink uselessly. The despair is palpable among those left behind. There are faces that cannot be forgotten, eyes wide with shock, mouths open in silent screams. The faith that once sustained many has been shaken to its core. On every street corner, murmurs of disbelief mingle with last-minute prayers. Here, hope seems a distant, almost irrelevant concept. Reports of sudden disappearances continue to arrive. People have vanished without a trace, as if erased from existence. The few who remain try to cling to normalcy, but the world they knew has been irrevocably altered in the blink of an eye. Communication is unstable. Radio waves are a chaos of static and transmission fragments. As the night progresses, a sense of abandonment sets in. The winds howl through the deserted streets, carrying with them echoes of a simpler, safer time. This is the moment when darkness seems to triumph, when the light of hope is nearly extinguished. It is a stark reminder of human fragility in the face of the divine. But even in the deepest darkness, there are those who refuse to give in. Resistance is a tenuous but unbreakable thread. Survivors seek shelter, form unlikely alliances, share stories, and keep alive the flame of what it means to be human. Though all seems lost, somewhere, a spark of determination ignites a small light in the darkness. And as long as there is light, no matter how small, the story is not over. This is your biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting directly from the epicenter of the most extraordinary events humanity has ever witnessed. Hold on tight, for what I'm about to describe challenges everything we know and believe. As the dust of the Rapture still settles, there's a stirring in the air, an almost palpable shift. People around me are beginning to sense a new understanding, as if a curtain has suddenly been lifted from their eyes. I'm seeing faces shift from amazement to overwhelming clarity, as if a light bulb has been turned on in their minds. It's a divine insight, a revelation that changes everything. Amidst the chaos, a reverent silence begins to settle in. It's as if a universal secret is being whispered directly to every soul, a knowledge that transcends words. Imagine, if you can, the feeling of finally finding the missing piece of a puzzle you didn't even know you've been putting together your entire lives. Some fall to their knees, tears streaming down their faces, while others, previously in disbelief, now look to the sky with an expression of unprecedented understanding. It's the realization that what seemed distant and mythical has suddenly become personal and urgent. The atmosphere is charged, almost electrified, with this new realization. Families embrace, friends look at each other in silent recognition. The revelation is clear: the time they thought they had was, in fact, a gift that has run out. This divine insight is not just a vision, it is a call to action, a spiritual awakening. There's no time for hesitation. I hear urgent conversations, promises of change, of reconciliation, of a search for a new direction. The words, "I understand now," echo throughout like a unified mantra. It's a moment of truth, where what was once confusing becomes crystal clear, and lost purpose is found. This is the rapture phenomenon revealed in its fullness, a turning point that cannot be ignored. Stay alert and prepared. This is your biblical frontline reporter, always seeking to bring you the truth, no matter how overwhelming it may be. Stay firm and vigilant, for the path ahead is unknown, but now illuminated by a new light. Here we are, at the epicenter of a world still trembling under the impact of the rapture. The streets echo with confused voices and lost gazes, but something new is beginning to blossom. A resurgence of hope is rising, like a dawn after an endless night. People who were once scattered, mired in despair, are beginning to regroup. Amidst the chaos, spontaneous leaders emerge, figures who light the way and call to action. As the dust of uncertainty begins to settle, we are witnessing something extraordinary. Groups of people, from all walks of life and backgrounds, are coming together, forming communities of support. They share food, water, and, above all, words of encouragement. The sound of voices in unison replaces the oppressive silence. It's a symphony of determination. Here, on the banks of a gently flowing river, a young woman raises a patchwork flag, a symbol of resistance and renewal. Around her, a crowd gathers, hands clasped, eyes shining with determination. This is not just a gathering of survivors, but of fighters. Fighters of hope, ready to face the unknown. Nearby, I see fields being prepared again. Plows cut through the earth with renewed vigor. Children, once silent and frightened, now run, laughing, through the wheat fields. Life, somehow, persists, stubborn and resilient. Meanwhile, in the cities, the sound of hammers and saws echoes through the streets. Temporary structures are erected, transforming ruins into shelters. People work together, sweaty and smiling, rebuilding not just buildings, but the very essence of community. Forces are gathering, not in armed battalions, but in collectives dedicated to survival and hope. Leaders, once hidden, now stand out, guiding with wisdom and compassion. This new army, armed with determination and solidarity, prepares to face whatever challenges the future may bring. From where I stand, the view is clear. The rapture may have taken many, but those left behind are not alone. Courage and hope are reborn, like phoenixes from the ashes. Every gesture, every word, every act of kindness is a building block in the reconstruction of our humanity. Here, at the heart of a new era, hope is not only restored, it is the force that unites us and drives us forward. Here we are, listeners, in a moment of deafening silence. The air around me is charged with a palpable tension, as if the universe has held its breath. I am here, at the epicenter of what can only be described as the calm before the final storm. The streets are deserted, the cities paralyzed. This is the scene we are in, like a frozen scene in a movie about to explode into action. The clouds, heavy and dark, hang over us, blocking the sun's warmth and casting a blanket of gloom that stretches as far as the eye can see. It's strange, almost surreal, how the world seems drained of color, leaving everything in shades of gray. There's an almost tangible stillness, interrupted only by the occasional rustle of leaves, dancing in the wind that seems to hesitate before launching into something fiercer. The silence is profound, but far from peaceful. It carries with it a promise of something imminent, an anticipation that makes one's skin crawl. There is no laughter, no voices, no comforting sounds of everyday life. It's as if nature is aware of what's to come, holding its breath, awaiting the inevitable. The few I see on the streets walk with furtive steps, their faces reflecting uncertainty and fear of the unknown. Eyes meet, filled with unanswered questions, untold stories of hope and despair. Each carries the silent doubt, what comes next? The feeling is that time is stretching out, as if we're trapped in an endless instant, on the edge of a precipice, waiting for the moment when we'll be pushed into the unknown. Prophecies unfold before our eyes, and the world awaits the signal, the clap of thunder that will shatter this illusion of calm. As we stand here, trapped in this almost unbearable tension, the atmosphere is charged with an invisible electricity. We know it won't last long. This is the prelude, the pause before the grand symphony, the anticipation before the climax that will change everything. Brace yourselves, listeners. The storm is about to break, and with it, the unknown awaits us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your Frontline Reporter, capturing the unimaginable on this day that many fear and few believe they would see with their own eyes. We are at the beginning of something grand and terrifying, the initial confrontation on Rapture Day. The air is charged with tension. The sky is a vast, restless stage where dark clouds move like marching armies, a harbinger of a divine storm. The streets, which until moments ago had been plunged into an eerie calm, are now a tumult of emotion and chaos. People look up, their faces a mixture of disbelief and panic, trying to understand what seemed like mere myth and legend, but which is now unfolding before us. Suddenly, a boom, like the roar of ancient thunder, cuts through the air. It is the sound of a trumpet, not made by human hands, but something celestial, heralding the beginning of the prophesied climax. In the distance, a majestic and imposing figure emerges from the horizon, mounted on a white horse, his cloak resplendent as 1,000 suns. It's impossible not to feel the heart race, even for the most skeptical observer. This is the leader, the commander of the heavenly hosts, the one many recognize as the Prince of Peace, but who now presents himself as the supreme warrior. At his side, a legion of celestial beings, their armor reflecting divine light, ready for battle. On the ground, the confrontation begins to take shape. We see organized resistance groups, those who remain, those who have not been taken, gathering their strength, trying to understand and respond to what appears to be a watershed moment in human history. It is a scene of courage and desperation, of faith tested to the extreme, as the known and the unknown collide with colossal force. The wind blows harder, kicking up dust and debris, while the sky unfolds in a spectacle of light and shadow. The ground seems to tremble under the pressure of the moment, as if the earth itself senses the approach of the inevitable. Amidst this, the first clashes begin, not of flesh and blood, but of powers and principalities, forces beyond human comprehension. We, down here, are mere spectators, witnesses to an event that will defy our understanding and will undoubtedly change the course of what we know as reality. The initial confrontation is just the beginning. Stay tuned, as we will be here reporting every moment of this historic and apocalyptic day. Stay strong, for history continues to be written before our eyes. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, back with an urgent and unexpected update. We are in the midst of a scene of chaos and disorder, where the sky seems to have split in two, and the earth trembles beneath our feet. The battle between the forces of light and darkness is in full swing, and until just moments ago, all seemed lost for those who remained. The streets are filled with people, some looking skyward in despair, while others run for cover. The air is thick with tension, and the sense of imminent danger is palpable. Dark forces, led by sinister figures seemingly emerging from the shadows, advance with devastating ferocity, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. However, something incredible has just happened. A turn of events no one could have predicted. From the midst of the darkness, an intense light has begun to shine. A light that cannot be ignored, cutting through the darkness like a sharp blade. The shadowy figures are hesitating, their attacks lessening in intensity. It's as if the very essence of evil is wavering before this new presence. Look to the sky. The light is growing, expanding, bringing with it a sense of peace and hope. It's no ordinary light, it's a legion of celestial beings, their resplendent wings covering the horizon, bringing a strength that seemed lost. They descend in formation, organized, determined, ready to turn the tide of battle. The impact is immediate. The forces of darkness begin to retreat, their ranks crumbling before the celestial onslaught. The sound of trumpets echoes through the air, a powerful melody that fills the hearts of those watching with new hope. It is a song of promise, of imminent victory. Those who were hidden, those who had lost faith, now emerge from their refuges, their eyes shining with the possibility of redemption. The battle is no longer lost, the turnaround is undeniable. Those who were once forgotten, left behind, now find themselves in the midst of something extraordinary, something that defies all odds. We are witnessing one of the most crucial moments of this historic day, a turning point that redefines the course of the battle. Fate is still being written, and we are here to witness every moment of this incredible transformation. Stay with us as we continue to bring you every detail of this epic battle unfolding before our eyes. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting live from a scene that challenges our very understanding of reality. We are at a moment many would describe as the climax of the ages, the execution of a miracle, the final victory. The air is charged with anticipation, every second pulsating with the accumulated tension of ages. The earth trembles beneath our feet, not with fear, but with anticipation. Ahead of us, an indescribably brilliant light begins to emerge, splitting the heavens like a divine dawn amidst the darkness. The clouds part, forming a celestial corridor. It's impossible to look away from this majestic scene. Angels, in perfect formation, descend from the heavens in a dance of grace and power. Their voices echo like thunder, a melody that resonates in the depths of the soul. At the center of this spectacle, the resplendent figure, recognized by many as the Savior, advances with a presence that is at once serene and overwhelming. His eyes, like flames, sweep over the gathered crowd, bringing peace to the afflicted and hope to the desperate. He raises his hand, and with a simple gesture, as if commanding the very elements, the world's pain begins to dissipate. It is a moment that transcends language, an instant of pure transformation. All around us, we witness scenes that will be told for generations. The land, once marked by conflict and destruction, begins to renew itself. Trees sprout, rivers flow with renewed vigor, and the air fills with the scent of reborn creation. Victory is not just visual, it is tangible, manifesting itself in every breath of wind, in every ray of sunlight that touches our skin. The crowds, some still in disbelief, others in unbridled joy, join in a spontaneous chorus of worship and gratitude. It is the symphony of humanity finding its ultimate purpose, the harmony of the divine and the mortal, uniting in a single chord. And here we are, witnesses to a moment that redefines the very essence of time and eternity. As I recount, I feel the magnitude of this event, the sense that nothing will ever be the same again, that a new chapter in human history is being written, a chapter of redemption and hope. This, dear listeners, is the final climax, the miracle, the victory. Here, the promise is fulfilled, and the world, our world, stands on the threshold of a new era. Stay with us as we watch this historic event unfold, one that will echo throughout eternity. This is your live correspondent, direct from the epicenter of what can only be described as an event of unimaginable proportions. We are witnessing the immediate aftermath of the climax, the rapture, and the scene here, friends, is breathtaking, but not in a reassuring way. I am surrounded by a mixture of silence and chaos that defies human comprehension. The streets are eerily empty in some areas, while in others, there's a frenetic bustle, like ants in a disturbed anthill. Driverless cars are parked haphazardly, many still with their engines running, some crashed on the sidewalks, others more dangerously in the middle of the streets. The sound of alarms going off echoes, creating a symphony of sirens that merges with screams of confusion and despair. The sky, once clear, now seems shrouded in an unsettling haze. It's as if nature itself is responding to what has just happened. People huddle in groups, eyes fixed on the horizon, searching for explanations, answers that no one seems to have. Faces streaked with tears, trembling hands clutching phones, trying in vain to contact loved ones who have simply disappeared, leaving only traces of their presence. News is coming from all over that this phenomenon is global. Every country, every city, every village is experiencing the same devastating mystery. The sense of loss is palpable, a collective lament hanging in the air. Authorities are trying to restore order, but it seems impossible to organize the disorganized when the foundation of reality has been challenged. The emotional vibration is intense, with each person dealing with disbelief in a unique way. Some fall to their knees, giving themselves over to prayer, their voices rising in a desperate chorus, seeking solace in a faith that seems more necessary now than ever. Others, stunned, walk away from the scene, driven by a survival instinct or simply in search of a place to think. It's a time of forced introspection, where each person grapples with questions of destiny and purpose. There's no escaping the feeling that the world as we know it has changed forever. The psychological impact of this event is immediate, and the consequences will undoubtedly extend for generations. We are, without a shadow of a doubt, at a turning point in human history. Stay tuned as we continue to report on everything that happens here, on the front lines of the inexplicable. This is your Biblical Frontline Reporter, bringing you live updates as the dust begins to settle after this cataclysmic event. Minutes ago, the entire world felt an unprecedented shock, and now, we're beginning to see the outline of a new reality. I'm here, in the heart of a city that never sleeps, but which is now plunged into a deafening silence, interrupted only by distant sirens and murmurs of confusion. The air is still thick with luminous dust particles, floating gently as if time itself has slowed. Sunlight, filtering through this ethereal haze, gives the city a surreal golden glow. Around me, the streets are nearly deserted, dotted with abandoned cars, wide open doors, and hastily discarded personal belongings. It's a scene of abrupt exodus. The people who remain here are stunned, many with their gazes fixed on the sky, perhaps searching for answers or a vision not yet understood. On a street corner, a group of young people embrace, tears streaming silently down their faces. A little further on, a middle-aged man, kneeling on the sidewalk, holds a dead cell phone, as if crying out for a lost connection. The first glimpse of the result paints a picture of contrasts. On one side, accents; on the other, the disconcerting presence of those who are still here. The few who dare move do so cautiously, treading the asphalt as if it were fragile, as if at any moment it might crumble beneath their feet. Shops and markets are open, but empty, their merchandise untouched, as if time has stalked along with the sudden disappearance of so many. As I survey this transformed landscape, I realize that the most striking thing is the sound, or rather, the lack thereof. The constant din of urban life has given way to an almost palpable silence, broken only by hesitant footsteps and whispers of those trying to understand what has happened. The dust begins to settle, revealing a familiar yet strangely transformed world, a space where absence weighs as heavily as presence. We'll continue here on the front lines, bringing you updates as these first moments of a new chapter unfold. Stay with us as we seek to understand and chronicle this emerging new reality. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, witnessing firsthand as the dust settles and the world faces the unknown. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter. I'm reporting to you directly from the field where, recently, the forces of good and evil clashed in the most epic battle in history. Now, as the dust finally begins to settle, an eerie calm envelopes the devastated landscape. The silence is almost deafening after the clamor of the heavenly armies and the forces of darkness. Around me, the terrain is marked by deep scars, traces of a titanic clash. The sky, once shrouded in storm clouds and lightning, now slowly opens, revealing a golden light that gently touches the earth. Celestial soldiers, some still on guard duty, begin to relax, their faces reflecting weariness and relief. Victory has been won, but not without a heavy cost. The survivors, both human and celestial, begin to emerge, their footsteps echoing across the battle-stained land. Glances are exchanged, some of joy, others of sadness and loss. Many have fallen, and their absence is keenly felt at this moment. Each face here tells a story of courage, sacrifice, and renewed hope. The few who remain behind, those who witnessed the battle but were not swept away, now gather around the scene, contemplating what remains. It's as if the world has stopped for a moment, allowing every soul present to absorb the weight of what happened. Amidst the rubble, the first attempts at reconstruction are beginning to emerge, signs of human and divine resilience. There is still work to be done, wounds to be healed, both on the ground and in the hearts of those who survived. The victory, while comforting, leaves a bittersweet taste of loss and renewal. The heavenly leaders now gather, discussing the next step toward the new era that looms on the horizon. Here, on the front lines, we witness the cost of victory. We see the renewal of hope and the beginning of a new chapter for humanity. This is a time of reflection and reconstruction, where the human spirit will be tested and, ultimately, strengthened by the adversity overcome. This is the Biblical Frontline Reporter, keeping you informed as the world adjusts to this new dawn after the final battle. Stay with us as we continue to cover this unprecedented event. Here we are, at the dawn of a new world that feels simultaneously familiar and utterly alien. I'm in the middle of a city that used to be vibrant and full of life, but now bears the scars of an inexplicable event. The streets are deserted, a profound silence echoes between the buildings that still stand. The air is charged with a strange stillness, as if the earth itself is holding its breath. The remaining people wander, confused, their faces etched with a mixture of astonishment and disbelief. Their blank expressions reflect a desperate search for answers that no one seems to have. Abandoned personal items on the ground offer a glimpse of the chaos that unfolded just hours ago: lonely shoes, broken glasses, scattered books, memories of lives cut short without warning. Those left behind are beginning to grapple with what it means to live in this new normal. Groups are organizing, improvising communities around campfires that cast dancing shadows on the walls. Quiet conversations are rife with speculation, theories, and suppositions, while the more religiously inclined cite ancient passages for solace. There's a sense of urgency in the air. The infrastructure that once sustained society is in tatters. Electrical systems fail, communication lines are silent, transportation is paralyzed. The ground trembles occasionally, as if protesting the changes. Nature seems to be reclaiming its space, with roots and bushes sprouting where the concrete has given way. Those brave enough to gaze up at the night sky are mesmerized by the strange, apocalyptic beauty of the stars, now brighter, as if illuminating an unknown path. The moon casts a silvery glow over the sea, a constant reminder that, despite everything, the world keeps turning. Old social norms are being rewritten, and definitions of community and survival are being reconstructed in real time. While some turn to faith, others cling to reason, trying to rebuild a sense of order from the fragments. This is a world where the ordinary has become extraordinary, where each day is a new page in a book no one anticipated. As we navigate this uncertain terrain, we are compelled to reflect on what it means to be human in a transformed reality, in a world that will never be the same again. We are here, at the epicenter of a global transformation no one could have predicted. The sun still shines brightly, but the atmosphere around us is charged with uncertainty and disorder. In the blink of an eye, millions of people have disappeared. The streets, once bustling, now echo with sounds of panic and despair. Vehicles abandoned, horns blaring out of control, while those left behind try to grasp the magnitude of what has happened. In big cities, skyscrapers symbolize human resilience, but now their shadows shelter perplexed crowds. On every corner, there are tears and lost looks, as families are torn apart. Technology, which once connected us in seconds, is overloaded, with social media saturated with theories, while phone lines are congested. Satellites capture images of empty tourist attractions, paralyzed airports, and planes still on runways, unmanned. Governments around the world are in constant meetings, seeking answers and trying to maintain order. Religious leaders of various faiths call their followers to prayer, trying to find comfort amid the spiritual chaos. Scientists and academics debate frantically, studying possibilities and revising theories. However, the silence after each attempt at an explanation is deafening. The global economy is in freefall. Stock markets are experiencing steep declines, while investors desperately seek to understand the long-term impact. Businesses are closing their doors, and international trade is suspended. Local markets are facing shortages, with empty shelves and desperate consumers. In rural areas, the stillness is only interrupted by reports of unexplained phenomena. Animals are agitated, harvests are delayed, and the sky, though clear, seems to carry an invisible weight. In isolated villages, communities come together, seeking strength in unity and ancient traditions. This is a critical moment, exposing the fragility of modern civilization. While some turn to altruism and the search for spiritual answers, others are consumed by fear and uncertainty. Reality as we knew it has been irreversibly altered. Only time will tell how the world will rebuild its foundations and what will emerge from this era of transformation. We are here, documenting every second, so that the future may remember and learn from this unprecedented day. Here on the surface of what many are calling the new normal, the world is hesitantly adjusting to an unrecognizable reality. The streets, once vibrant with the frenetic routine of everyday life, are now eerily silent. Abandoned cars block avenues, while alarms echo between buildings. The absence of people is palpable, as if the city itself were holding its breath, waiting for a signal that never arrives. In the neighborhoods, the scenes are equally desolate. Houses with open doors, some with lights still on, reveal unfinished dinners and televisions broadcasting static. It seems as if the world has stopped in a moment frozen in time. Dogs and cats roam the streets, confused and lonely, searching for their missing owners. The occasional bark or meow echoes, breaking the oppressive silence. Those left behind, dealing with the pain of loss and the uncertainty of the future, begin to gather. Small pockets of communities begin to form, attempting to re-establish some sense of normalcy. In parks and squares, makeshift bonfires offer warmth and light against the growing darkness. Whispered conversations are exchanged about recent events, each tale more fantastical and terrifying than the last. In stores and supermarkets, shelves are quickly emptied as survivors search for essential supplies. Electricity, still working in some areas, is used to charge devices in the hope of reconnecting with loved ones. However, the global communication network is a patchwork of intermittent signals, unable to provide answers. Security, once a concept taken for granted, is now a constant concern. Groups of night watchmen form, patrolling the areas to protect their newly formed communities from external threats. Fear of the unknown lingers in the air, heightening the need for solidarity and cooperation. However, amid this silent chaos, there is also a growing sense of hope and renewal. People, forced to look inward and to others, begin to realize the importance of each life, each moment. In makeshift schools, volunteer teachers share knowledge, keeping the flame of education alive. Life after the event is uncharted territory, where each day is a struggle against uncertainty, but also an opportunity to rebuild. This is the new normal, a world where the past seems like a distant dream, but where human resilience shines brighter than ever. Here, in the heart of change, humanity rediscovers what it truly means to live. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the biblical Frontline Reporter, reporting to you with a final reflection as the shadows lengthen on the horizon of this unforgettable day. When the rapture occurred, the world stopped, and we who remain here find ourselves amidst a deafening silence. What we realize, as the dust settles and the panic dissipates, is the powerful force of human choice, the internal battle we wage between what is and what should be. Throughout this day, I witnessed despair, hope, fear, and redemption. I saw families torn apart, while others came together in search of comfort and answers. Humanity, in all its complexity, revealed its layers. I walked through cities where time seemed to have stopped, every corner echoing stories of lives forever changed. The streets, once filled with haste and noise, became silent reflections of decisions, some conscious, others not. The most profound lesson I learned today is the importance of the present moment. We live in a world where we often look to tomorrow, neglecting the richness of the present. The rapture forces us to face our fragility and the beauty of our daily choices. In every act of kindness, in every act of courage, lies the seed of something greater than ourselves. In this chaotic landscape, where the search for answers is constant, it becomes clear that true revelation lies in our capacity to love and forgive. As night approaches, shrouded in mystery and anticipation, we are called to reflect on what it means to be here, now. The choice to live with purpose, to seek truth and compassion, becomes more urgent than ever. It is not just a matter of survival, but of meaning. The Rapture, with all its grandeur and impact, challenges us to reevaluate our personal and collective journey. As I turn off my microphone for today, I leave you with this thought: may we, amidst uncertainty, find the courage to build bridges, to understand that our true connection is not only with the divine, but deeply intertwined with one another. May this day, marked by loss and hope, inspire us to live more intensely and love more sincerely. And so, my friends, we continue, hoping that tomorrow will find us wiser, more united, and with greater faith in what the future may bring. The scene before us is truly shocking. I am here, in the eye of the Rapture hurricane, where the horizon divides between light and darkness. The sky, a turbulent mosaic of clouds and clarity, seems to reflect the souls that have gone and those that remain. Amidst this celestial chaos, the earth below is in a state of paralysis. There's an eerie silence, interrupted only by the occasional sound of confused footsteps and murmurs of disbelief. Families gather in the streets, looking up at the sky, trying to understand what they've missed. Abandoned cars block the roads, engines still hot, doors open as if in sudden abandonment. It's as if time has been suspended, a pause in the frenetic pace of everyday life. Right now, there's a palpable intensity in the air, a weight of unanswered questions. People, their faces etched with shock, whisper to each other, trying to find comfort in the company of others also left behind. What does all this mean for the world we know? How do we connect with this abruptly transformed present? As we witness this scene, it's crucial to remember that this moment isn't just a scene of despair or loss. It's also a call for reflection and action. What do we do from here? How do we reconfigure our values and actions to respond to this spiritual awakening? Now, listeners, I address you directly. This is a time for introspection. Ask yourselves, what really matters? How can we transform our world today, not just waiting for a future event, but living purposefully in the present? As you reflect on the meaning of the Rapture, consider your own path. Where are you now, and where do you want to be? This is the call. Not as a warning of doom, but as an opportunity for renewal. Connect with what's essential, rebuild your priorities, and, above all, find hope in the potential for change. Because, despite the appearance of an end, there can always be a new beginning. This is your chance to be part of this new narrative. I'm here, on the front lines of a world that's redefining itself, inviting you to be an active part of this transformation. And with that, I conclude my broadcast, hoping that each of you finds the path to peace and renewal. Stay safe and stay alert.